Hello, we are finally live. Thank you, everybody. Welcome to back to WAFFLEBOARD Breaks. Appreciate the fill. We'll get this broke. I know the first couple after the reload take a little while to fill. Obviously, trying to get that done, get you guys ready. Can't wait to see what comes out tonight. Obviously, 35 boxes with 36 jerseys in there. One double box in the reload. We didn't hit reload boxes this Sunday, so still all 16 boxes from the reload. Just watch the Blue Jays implode and blow that game, which is wonderful on a nice Tuesday night. But like I said, you're going to have some bad losses in there. Hopefully they can get off their butts and fix things. But, they're up, up comfortably early, and then they decided to give up home runs or lose the game, and that's the way it goes. Obviously, that's how baseball is. Of course, with the Yankees and the Red Sox winning almost every game, other than when they play each other, you're going to have to win some games, and especially ones that you don't deserve to win. And they did not deserve to win today. Too many ground balls in the double plays, blown chances to score runs, relying on Springer solo home runs for your only offense is not a good plan for success. But you're going to lose some games. Obviously, Hoffman is definitely dancing tightrope, and he failed today with the 3-run bomb to lose it. And it's the way it is. But gotta get past that. We'll see. I mean, they got one more game in Minnesota before rolling into a now cooling off Milwaukee, even though they're the best team in baseball. We'll see how Toronto gets off the mat for their final game of the 3-game series against Minnesota, and then see what they can do with Milwaukee. So this is where they prove themselves. September is going to be fun. It's going to be hair-raising and painful and hopefully enjoyable, but we'll see how that goes. Got to beat some good teams from here on out. Like I said, hockey's getting there. You said we're seeing some final moves as we get closer to camps. Guys signing. I mean, I saw somebody signed. A bunch of guys signed in Europe. I don't know if they start over in the KHL or early, but they've been signing some people the last couple of days. I've seen some movement. We still have some significant free agents. Obviously, some serious trade talks, more trade chatter than anything else right now. I saw a nice article today about my boy, the Ginger Sniper, Kyle Connor, entering the final year of his contract in Winnipeg, and they've let players walk semi-recently, including Ehlers signed elsewhere, but they did commit big money long-term to Hellebuck and Scheifele. So we'll see if they're willing to pony up cash or they're willing to deal Kyle Connor closer to the trade deadline, or if they want to let him walk for nothing. But he's been pretty consistent. I'm a big fan. He definitely is a great goal scorer in the NHL. Give you at least 30 for the last half dozen years, 40. I believe 40 plus in 3 of those. So, like I said, he's not going to be a rugged player, but he definitely can finish. And teams need that. I mean, they're talking about possibly Detroit with him because they're a good young up-and-coming team, and he's from Michigan, I believe. So it's it's always whenever a player becomes free agent, the hometown always gets talked about in potential deals or trades or signings. And it'll be interesting to see. Like I said, I'm a big fan. Loved him ever since he's gotten to Winnipeg. Seeing him take off and be a legitimate top scorer every year in and year out. As well as he's been healthy, which he has been. And a little bit interesting to see. Like, I wouldn't mind seeing him, go to Detroit, playing with that good young team. Obviously, they need somebody his offensive skills. Obviously, they have solid, good players. Dylan Larkin. I mean, they have some good players. I mean, obviously, they have some players that have scored, but young players that are looking to take next step. I know their blue line is pretty deep with top-notch talent. We'll see if they're able to do that. Blackhawks can use that. That's true. Blackhawks can use. I don't know if Kyle Connor. I don't know. Like I said, I mean, true. He's from Michigan. Obviously, Chicago is kind of a rival to Detroit. But we'll see if they can. But I don't know if I'm sure they'll have the money to pony up the cash if they want to. I'm not sure what it's going to take to get him signed. If team is going to trade for him, and then hopefully get him long term. But Detroit was obviously the natural one to get talked quickly. So yeah, I mean, Tommy. I think they definitely have to show themselves taking the next step. So they got some good young players. Nazar's real nice. They have some good young defensemen. Obviously, they drafted Levshinov, to the top of the first rounds. And they have some potential franchise players other than Bedard. He does need some help. You look at a team like San Jose, who just throws all their top-notch prospects together, and they've been able to perform. But they had better players depth-wise on their team in San Jose. Guys like Toffoli, they definitely have, a little bit more depth across the team. Eklund's a couple years out now, and he put up some pretty good numbers, starting to spread his wings a bit. And, they've been able to top 5 picks, talking about Meeson, Will Smith, and Celebrini. I mean, and they have the defense coming, Dickinson, and that team is pretty going to be pretty stacked very soon. Kind of like the Devils of the West. I think they're kind of stacking their team, getting ready to make some runs, but they're not quite there yet. Hopefully, Askarov is their answer in net, but he definitely has to prove himself. But we'll see. Like I said, we'll see. Sharks gonna be nasty. Like I said, I'm still a believer in Askarov. Obviously. Nashville moved on from him. But like I said, I don't know how close he was. I don't know. They felt he was going to be too far away. And they wanted to go, with somebody, obviously they committed long term, but, they've had some pretty good goalies in Nashville. And if they evaluated Askarov and they felt he was, somebody they could move, if in their best interest, obviously, Nashville is much closer as a playoff team right now than San Jose, but we'll see. Like I said, goalies usually don't hit their strides until they're mid to late 20s. I mean, obviously, they take a long time. Get your North American legs under you, playing some minors and getting some minutes. Obviously, it's nice to have a good tandem in the NHL, but Askarov, I expect him to be. I know he's going to play more than 50% of the games in San Jose, but nice to see him get close to 40. And if he can shine, that could be, a big answer for them in net. But San Jose is going to be fun to watch. Obviously, Anaheim is young and upcoming. Los Angeles is still, they still got that veteran leading team, but they got some good young players as well. If anybody hasn't watched Dustin, what's his name? Byfield. If you haven't watched Quentin Byfield play, he's the kind of player every team in the East would love to have down the middle. He's a bit of a rugged but overly talented offensive player, but and he's a bit rugged, so it'd be nice to see him in the East. I still think the Rangers, should have dealt their pick and taken him instead of Lafreniere, but Lafreniere is still supposed to be the top player in that draft, so I'm not saying he was a bad pickup high, but they could have used the center, which Byfield is. He would have been perfect fit, I think, with the Rangers. I mean, obviously, he's not quite top scorer yet, but I think he'll have the chance to get there. So we'll see. I don't think the Flames aren't mediocre. They still got some top-notch talent. Like I said, I'm a huge Meager fan. I think, Dustin Wolf is legit. Huberdeau had a bounce back, and he had a really good season. They've been tough because they've lost a lot of players. They haven't kind of decided where they want to commit to long term. But like I said, I like seeing. I mean, I'm a Kipper diehard. That's probably my top 3 all-time favorite players in the league's history. So it's I'm a big Kipper guy. So I mean, it was nice to see him have a nice stretch there, even though it was a little abbreviated, and it was nice to see him get his number to retire last year with the Calgary team in honor of his service there in Calgary, but he's back home in Finland, so he's not somebody that hangs around. Obviously, Gil is more of a face of the franchise, when you think about former Flames in North America. But like I said, it's they're taking the baby steps. I mean, they don't have the top tier names like Edmonton with McDavid and Draisaitl. But like you said, it takes some. You got to be really bad. Kyrie just never seemed to be really bad enough. They're kind of stuck in that middle zone where you got your 7 to 14 pick every year. And it's really tough without landing one of these monster talents, the Jack Hughes, the Bedards. I mean, the Celebrinis. I mean, these are the players you need to turn your franchise around. I mean, like I said, it took Tampa a while. You had Stamkos number 1, the Cavalier was the number 1, Hedman was the number 2. So I mean, and then you got to get lucky with your scouts and get a Kucherov in the second round at a point in the second round. I mean, it takes those players to build a team. You still got to have those top tier, first round talents to. I mean, obviously, Taves and Kane were both top, 3 picks. Kane was the first overall. So, yeah, it did, but then you also got lucky. You got to end up with a Duncan Keith. You got to end up with a Crawford and Nets. And those are the players you need to build your team around. Dustin Bufflin was huge. I mean, that team was built the right way. And obviously they broke it down over time, but they got, a couple cups out of it. And that's really what you got to do. I mean, especially in a cap environment, you got to build your team up, make, a run 2, 3, 4 years of being a top, divisional, playoff contender. And like I said, I mean, Pittsburgh is kind of stuck with, I think Matang is hurt, but, Carlson, they got to figure out what they want to do with him. Malkin and Crosby are there as long as they want to be, basically, see if they move on. But they might be trying to fail for McKenna. That's probably in there in the best. But they're not the only team that's going to be doing that. I mean, you only get so many more balls in the hopper with the way the lottery works. I mean, you're not guaranteed the first overall pick, though, does greatly improve your chances, but it still comes down to being a lottery. So, obviously, San Jose was in position and they've had a couple first or even top 5 picks. Chicago, was able to do it. The Devils had Hughes and Hischier are both, top 2 picks. So it takes a while. It takes a while to get it right. You got people in the front office. So at the same time, I'm not, everybody's got to have a plan. Everybody's got a plan until they get punched in the mouth, and that's the way the NHL kind of is. Old Tyson saying, and like I said, you got to be able to take some licks. You got to have some fails before you get the victories. Like I said, I mean, watching the Bolts have the best record in the league, and then be up a couple games and then get bounced by Columbus. That really kind of. They came together as a team, and then since then they went on the run where they made 3 straight cup finals and back-to-back cups. And they're still obviously they still have some of the best superstars in the league, and they're a contender. They're not quite top 3 or 4, I don't even think, but they're still a contender. If you're top 8 or 9, you can make noise in the playoffs. So it's a matter of just getting right breaks, getting obviously you catch a playoff matchup, and maybe the other team has a star player that's kind of ailing. Fortunately for Florida, they've had some ailing players over the last couple of years and still made some finals runs, including the cup wins. And obviously you had Ekblad got dinged up, and Matt Tkachuk got dinged up. I mean, Bobrovsky's been able to be healthy all that run. So it's you really have to have a lot of stuff go in your favor, but at the same time, you put the team together, and then you let the chips fall and see what you can do. But like I said, Dallas is close, but can they get over that hump? Colorado got their cup, and they're still right there. Edmonton's been to the finals back-to-back years, and they couldn't do it either year. Is it because of the goaltender? Probably not, but, is that goaltender, has Skinner or Pickard been able to be a guy that's going to win the cup for them? Probably not. Bobrovsky would seem to be that edge over the Edmonton goaltending tandem, especially when you have the 2 best players in the league. Florida built it right. Florida's got that one of those teams that you fear from top to bottom, especially come playoff time. And the guys like Sam Bennett, who is, a great number 2 center, but you're not going to pick him as a top 3 or 4 player on your team, but he does everything you need to do to win cups. And that's the way the NHL is. It's you got to have those type players on your team. It's good to have the top scorers, but then obviously the Reinhardts and the Matthew Tkachuks and that team just has a little of everything. Mackenzie Weir was moved out. Huberdeau got moved out. They brought in the right pieces. Seth Jones was perfectly fit in. I don't know if they fired the coach. I mean, you can't. I mean, the guys won so many games. I mean, it's tough to. I mean, it's tough when you're one of the winningest coaches of all time, and your team is just not happy because you can't win. You can't get to the finals at this point in time. I mean, it's tough to blame, any particular coach. Sooner or later, the coach's heads get on the chopping block. Obviously, I've had, great success in watching Tampa, and eventually it'll be time to move on from their coach. I mean, at this point in time, I don't want to see it ever happen, but eventually the players start to run a little thin, and can coaching be the difference? I don't think so. I think if all the players are at the similar level, the championship level, the coach can be the difference. But I mean, you're not making gold out of a pile of retread pieces. That's not how the NHL works. I mean, you got to have the pieces. You got to have the stars. You got to have cap flexibility. You got to be able to make moves. But then you have a coach that can play. I mean, obviously matchups is the key. That's where your coaching staff comes in. Getting the right guys out there in the right situations, whether it's offensive zone faceoffs, whether it's penalty killing, whether it's coaching up the power play. There's so much of it goes into coaching where it's not just the head coach, but I mean, you have to have all those pieces working in concert for you to become a Stanley Cup champion. And, we've been able to see that from Florida, from Tampa, from, Colorado, from Vegas, even back to like Washington and, Pittsburgh. I mean, these teams had everything going for them when they made those runs, and you get a couple bounces your way. That's, I mean, you think about even back to like the years when, Nicholas Lidstrom got stuffed on the goal line against Pittsburgh. I mean, would have tied the game. That's not a winner. But then you talk about the big save Holtby had, in the Vegas series. I mean, those kind of moments could just change fortunes of franchises. I mean, obviously Washington had an amazing run by Kuznetsov. Ovechkin's the all-time leading scorer, and he was goal scorer, and he was on a mission to win the cup that year. They got past Pittsburgh, but that Holtby save, you think about those type of moments, that's the year it takes. I mean, yeah, the year of the rat, obviously the Panthers, after having watched their cross-state rival, soak in the championships and have the boat rise, and having watched it so close, knowing that you could have a championship team in a warm weather climate and having them, been to the cups in 3 years, Florida just needed to tinker, and they tinkered, and then they became, the champions that they are now. So it's, you can't fault them. I mean, I don't know how long they can sustain it, but clearly they have a team that's got, pieces that can move in and out, and they have a little bit of cap flexibility. Will Bob be there? How much longer will he? I mean, he seems to be, endless youth with Bobrovsky. I mean, do one business in Columbus. How long ago? Like, that was forever ago. Like, he's playing better now than he. I'm not saying he's a better goalie now than when he was with his business in Columbus. The dude was a flyer. Like, I mean, we're talking like I watched him play 1 billion years ago. They gave a long-term contract to a guy that afraid of bears and Brizgalov, and then they obviously they turned their back on Bob, and he was reborn again in Columbus and winning 2 Vezinas, and now he's double cup winner in Florida. So it can be a long winding road for these guys. So it's I mean, you definitely like to see players that are great over their full careers finally rewarded, but there's great players that never won cups. Guys like Bobby Luongo. I mean, he won a cup now as part of the staff in Florida, but he didn't win a cup in Vancouver or Florida. He's one of the best goalies I ever watched. I mean, Lundqvist is one of the best goalies I ever watched. He didn't win a cup. He was close. I mean, he obviously, he got close, but I mean, that's just the way it is. Marcel Dionne's one of the all-time leading scorers in the league. He doesn't have a cup. So, I mean, players players are great. I mean, you can watch some of the best scorers, some of the best defensemen, some of the best goalies, and they just don't have cups. And then you see guys win cups on their, first or second year in the league as a key role player for these, like obviously for these Stanley Cup teams. I mean, think about all the players that the Bolts have that won cups that are elsewhere. Guys like Plot and Goodrow. I mean, Yanni Gord won a cup and left, and now he's back. And those guys, the big rigs won multiple cups. It's just amazing to see the amount of cups that the rosters from these teams and the great players that have played in the league that don't have a win. So it's just that's the way hockey is. You got to be in the right place at the right time sometimes, but you got to build it up. I mean, the Penguins team, like I said, I've always been a fan of grabbing Pens jerseys. I love that Larry Murphy jersey. I mean, obviously, we had a nice Marlowe finished up his career. He was a Pens jersey was in there recently. So I'm always happy to get some Pens into the boxes. Like I said, I'm a diehard Jake Gensel fan now. It's a Bolt. He's going to be a Bolt for the next, close to a decade of his career. So I expect him to be a consistent scorer as hopefully they can make more runs. But, that's a nice art there. And of course, like I said, the pit jersey, especially Tristan Jarry, similar to the same style as that Gensel, the alternate with the Pittsburgh down the diagonally down, which is always good. That was always a good look with them. I remember seeing the white ones with the black down the front. So it's fun. But like I said, Bob, it wasn't like everybody shook their head when it happened because Brizgalov was a great goalie, but no one knew there was going to be that much of a head case. So, but Gensel's tough. I mean, they duffed him because they were going to lose him. Obviously, he didn't stick in Carolina. He was only there for like less than 15 games, 9 games, something like that. So, it was kind of like, that's the kind of moves these GMs make where you lose guys. I've watched some guys that were great players in Tampa that I just knew were going to have, decent careers, and they end up getting moved. It's just, they have to. It's a numbers game. And sometimes you got to move pieces you don't want to move because you got to make it run. It's tough, but it's like I said, Nico was there. Like I said, Nico got dealt because he wasn't going to be there long term in Colorado. Carolina sampled him, and I don't think he was really happy to end up in Carolina. So he was more than happy to get moved on to Dallas, and he's going to have, I think, a pretty solid career. Dallas is close. I don't know if they're good enough to get there. Ottinger could win a cup. I think he, like I said, he may be, I don't know if he's better than Hellebuck. Hellebuck's got the hardware, but as an American goalie, Ottinger is as good as there is. He's definitely, he's not Vasilevsky or Hellebuck, but he's got to be in the conversation of the next 5 or 6 goalies. So can he win a cup? Probably, but we'll see if they're able to put, would I rather have Hellebuck? Would I rather have Ottinger or Bobrovsky? Tomorrow, probably Ottinger. Bobrovsky's got multiple Vezinas, multiple cups, but Ottinger is young enough that he could be your goalie for 10 years. So, it's, I don't know, Hellebuck's not necessarily, he definitely was a bum last year. He got shelled in some games. I'm like, this dude, I love Hellebuck, and I watched him just be, he was so good last year. He was almost like a half a goalie better than everybody in the league, like wins and shutouts and saves, and he was so good. And I don't know if you need to rest your starting goalie nowadays. That was part of the reason. It doesn't look like he was tired. He just wasn't stopping pucks. How did that happen? I don't know. Like I said, I'm a big Hellebuck fan. Like I said, I have. Hellebuck is part of my PC and will remain so. Like I said, the one that was hit here a couple weeks ago, actually just last break, I said that was exact same Hellebuck Adidas I have. As an American too, you like to see him play great. The Olympics, hopefully Hellebuck is able to play at that level, we'll see what happens. But like I said, if Ottinger takes a job for it, would he be shocked? Kind of. But Ottinger's definitely played great enough that he could take that job. That could be who represents the U.S. for the next, couple international tournaments. But we'll see. Like I said, for that next goalie. There's some good young goalies on the come, and we'll see if any are going to take the next the next step. Obviously, Detroit's got a couple young goalies. I don't think they're quite ready yet. Of course, that team's not quite ready yet. So we'll see if they're able to develop and, make names. But I mean, there's good solid goalies across the board. I mean, Sorokin's a great goalie with the Isle, but he kind of faltered last year too. So we'll see. I mean, Shesterkin is good enough to win a cup. We'll see if he can get one. It's just there's some great teams that have great goaltending, but do they have the teams around them to win? Yeah, like I said, your goalie, you can have the greatest goalie in the league and not win cups. I mean, it happens. I mean, not Shesterkin, like Lundqvist and Luongo, those guys. Cujo never won a cup, and he plays, on some great teams. Of course, he was in Maple Leaf, but that's not going to help. And he was in Detroit for a little bit. But like I said, Detroit doesn't matter who they have in goal, or in Tampa, or in Toronto rather. Toronto can't seem to get over the hump either. But we'll see. Like I said, it's fun. Like I said, as we get closer and closer to camps, I'm keep my ear to the rumor mill. And like I said, I was just surprised a little bit to see. I mean, I didn't even think about it, but when I saw the article about Kyle Connor going into his final year of his deal, I'm like, ooh. I mean, I never expect he's not going to end up in Tampa, but I'm thinking Detroit, where he's from, Michigan. That'd be interesting to see. Like, I wouldn't hate if he ended up. Like I said, I would like to see him more. I mean, it's tough to get the Jets games on unless you obviously have the package, because Detroit's on a lot more. So obviously, there's a lot more media attention in Detroit, and when that team gets good, and I would have no problem with him, ended up in Detroit. That'd be fun to see because they got good young players. Yeah, I would love to see him playing with Dylan Larkin. I'd have no problem with that. Though I love Scheifele, so I'm not going to deny that. Huge Scheifele fan. Love seeing him playing up there with Morrissey and Kyle Connor. That's a great. They got some good young players. Velarde. I mean, they got some Perfetti. Man, Winnipeg's got good players. They got to think long term that they got to want to commit to those guys, and then they got to start letting guys like Connor walk. I mean, Ehlers is a guy you don't want to lose. He's the kind of guy that you need on your team. And like I said, he leaves. I mean, that's the kind of guy that you're not gonna win any headlines having Ehlers on your team, but you're gonna win some games because those are the kind of guys you need. So, well, we'll say. Like I said, I mean, people in Tampa when they got when they got Nick Paul and my boy Brandon Hagel, who I loved, and I was so happy to see him trying to take that next step, but they're not going to be your top line players. I mean, obviously Gensel and Point and Kucherov is your top line, but you need guys like Nick Paul and Brandon Hagel. Those are the guys you need on your team. The players that fill out your roster. The Killorns and the Palots and the Goodrows and the Gourds and those are the teams that the Ross Coltons. Those are the guys that help you win cups. You can't just have that monster top line. If you do that, you're Toronto. And we'll see. We see what happens with Toronto. So, but we'll see. Let's get going. Like I said, I appreciate everybody getting involved tonight. I know it takes a little longer with the mid 30 spots. Like I said, 36 spots with 35 boxes. But you guys are excited. I'm sure you guys are happy with the spot prices being down this week. I try to take care of you guys. That's why I didn't mind doing the fire sale discount in the last 9. Ron swooped in and grabbed the last 6 to close us. We'll see if Closer Mojo carries over. In fact, let me make sure my notes here. Ron's got that. Nick's got Nick has Slavkovsky. Ron's got Batherson. Ron's got Stahl. Ron's got Tuvo. Nick's got Nico this year. Ron's got Seth Jones. Ron has Darcy Tucker. So there we go. Ron's got the last 6 to close us. Good luck, everybody. They would love to keep Hagel, but like I said, I was smart. Brisbane going after Hagel because I saw some potential promise in him. I didn't expect him to be like a 35 goal scorer, but I'm glad that he got the level. Like you said, he's not a guy that plays with Point and Kucherov, so he's not getting points off of them. I mean, some of the power play, so he's not even like an automatic power play player, but he's a guy that plays high motor. Like he's got a little bit of edge to him. Like I just love him. Like he's got a little dirty to him. He'll hit you. He'll hit you. He'll take a hit. He's just a fun player to have on your team. And I look at guys like that where you need them. Like I can watch Kucherov, from the minute he hits the ice in warm-ups to the minute he leaves. He's the guy that just commands your vision. But Hagel's the kind of guy you got to have on your team. So it's fun to see those. And same thing with Nick Paul. Nick Paul, he's not the best talented, most talented player, but he's got skills. And he's got a little bit of everything you need for a hockey player. And he's really a perfect element for that second line for that team. Sometimes even third line. Like he does it all you need. So, but you do need the Cooches and the Gensels and the Braden Points. You got the Stamkoses. Those are the guys you need to win games. But then you also got to have the Hagels and the Pauls. And that's the key. So, Brisbois has proved his worth as a GM in Tampa, and I give him a lot of leash. So we'll see if he can continue, maybe pull out another nice run. So we'll see. So let's get going here. Let me get my dice rolling randomizer up. We'll be doing one box today. I know it took a little longer to fill, but we're still going to do one on Thursday. Of course, we won this box. So 34 boxes on Thursday. Same spot price for Thursday's box. So if you guys enjoyed the discounts here on this one, hopefully we get people to fill that out on Thursday. I know we're missing just a couple people that haven't been around regularly. Obviously, our weekend people aren't here during the week, but we'll get going on Thursday, get that down to 33 boxes for the weekend, 33 and 32 on Sunday. Those spots went live today. I will end whatever hits today, of course, and whatever hits on Thursday. So, but we'll see how it goes. Got some good jerseys to get to the mail at the end of this week. So thank you much. Congratulations for the winners. And we'll see what we got. Let me see. Here's my dice. My list. Okay, here we go. Okay, of course we do 5 or more. 5 or more in our dice roll. Of course, all the boxes are here in order. Our oldest box, single box run, 53. Then we have the next two, 81, 86, 99, and 6. Then we have 5 all the way to 32. Now we have 11, I believe, runs all the way to 48. 49's been hit. New boxes, 50 all the way through 66, skipping 53. That's the only one that's been skipped. So obviously, that's our oldest box. So here we go. Good luck. See if we get a new box or if we get something old, something you guys have chased for at least a little bit of time. So we'll see what comes out tonight. So good luck, everybody. Cannot wait to see what comes out tonight. There we go. 5 or more on our dice roll. See what we got. And that is 9. 9 times the list. So here we go, guys. Good luck, everybody. Once again, thank you for the fill. Everybody's pretty rich, ready to go. So let's do it. 9 times the list. 1. Here we go. 35 boxes. 2. 36 spots. 3. There is a double box in the reload, so we'll see if we hit that. How long it takes. 5. 6, 7, 8. And the box we're going to open tonight is going to be box number 54. There it is. Reload box 35, 9 times. Box 54. 35 items. Hit a reload. Skipped one on Sunday. But we managed to hit one today. Tuesday, reload box. Here we go. Here we go. Let me get that number out. 54. 54. 54 it is. 54. 54. Okay. 54. Good luck, everybody. 54. Here's my list. Some beauties in here. Good luck, everybody. Thank you for the fill. I don't have to change anything on the table because we still have those 21 boxes. Now we have 14 boxes. So get ready for this on Thursday. Who we got for box 54? The first hit from the reload. And it is former number 2 overall pick, Buffalo Sabres, Eric Stahl. Eric Stahl. There it is. David Adams, COA. Eric Stahl, Stanley Cup champion with Carolina. The Hurricanes, of course. David Adams. Eric Stahl. There we go. These Sabres, these Swords come out to play. There it is. Buffalo Sabres. Fanatics. Nice blue, new Sabre style. Buffalo Sabres. There it is. Eric Stahl. Very nice. I have a Stahl. My Stahl is a Reebok Carolina, I think. There we go. David Adams, of course. COA. Matching sticker. And that is an Eric Stahl. Obviously, the Stahl family is very successful. Jordan and Jared, Eric. Jordan and Eric have Stanley Cup championships. I don't think Jared did. Let me see who we got, though, for Stahl. And that is Closer Mojo. Ron in the house. Ron has been missing the last couple weeks or so. He definitely wasn't here on Sunday for the first double box of the reload. And I don't think he was in. He obviously hasn't been in many of the Facebook breaks because of his work schedule. But congratulations, Ron. Swooping in, rocking the Eric Stahl. Congratulations to you. Sorry, of course, for everybody did not hit. We are finally getting into the reload boxes. But there we go. The first one that comes out from the reload is an Eric. Always happy to see some Swords. Thank you very much. Congratulations again to Ron. Sorry, of course, for everybody that did not hit. Spot prices will not change. Same as today for Thursday night. So make sure you guys get back here 8 p.m. Have your spots, and then we'll eventually get it filled. I know it takes a little longer for us to go live, but at the same time, you guys do what you can to help me out. Obviously, I'll discount where we have to. But like I said, I know you guys have your targets, and they get scooped up pretty quickly. But thank you very much. Eric Stahl come out to play. We've had Eric Stahl in Carolina. We've had him on Buffalo. I don't know if I can't remember if we had any other iterations of Eric Stahl. I know we've had Jared, probably Pittsburgh. So the Stahls are always good. Obviously, a good family of hockey. Stanley Cup champions, couple of the brothers. There we go. Eric Stahl. I've had a couple little decent run here with Buffalo, but Eric Stahl mostly remembered for being the Carolina Hurricanes Stanley Cup champion. So there we go. Congratulations, Ron. Thank you very much. Closer Mojo is real. We know that for a fact. Obviously, he grabbed the last 6. Obviously, there's 9 that went on sale. So we got picked, and then Ron grabbed the last 6, and bang, he hits this Eric Stahl. So, that's just the way. That's the break world that we live in. The randomizer shines on the break, on the Closer Mojo every couple of breaks, it seems. So we've been there. Every one of us has been either a benefactor or a victim of the Closer Mojo. And the break gods shine brightly on Ron this evening. So thank you much, guys. I will see you back here on Thursday night. Enjoy your next couple of days and your hump day Wednesday for everybody. WAFFLEBOARD Breaks is out of here. Thank you. Take care.